Welcome back to Our Issues Birmingham. I'm Tommy Spina. We're talking with Barry MATSON about the state of economics from a prosecutorial standpoint in the state of Alabama, which is a mess. Are we an aberration? Or are we
I,
like every other jurisdiction in the country?
I think there are some that are there with us, but it seems to be worse here right now, I think.
So I was talking to Barry while we were at break about what I have observed during my years of practicing law, and that is court cost. I mean, they just continue to escalate. And then he mentioned this bail bond fee, which is essentially another court cost. And it would appear to me that we're really putting the burden of running our courts and I guess our prosecution offices on the people that can least afford to pay it, which are the people that are charged with the offenses to begin with. And so when they don't pay it, we're really not collecting it. And we can't, as you said, put people in prison in this country for being poor.
Exactly.
It's a mess. We also have prison issues, and we have a prison reform bill. And I want to talk about prison reform. Recently, legislation was introduced and passed to reform our prisons, to try to do something about the overcrowding. I was told if it was completely successful, we would be at 176% occupancy, down from the 200% occupancy that we were at a few months ago. I think we are down a little bit, but there are a number of unintended consequences that came from prison reform, which includes, at least from my perspective, transport expenses for inmates, slowed down dockets, court cases moving at a snail's pace, people getting to the courtroom 3 years, 4 years post offense. What are some of those unintended consequences?
Well, one for us, and I'm not saying it's the best system or the way it should be done, having worked in a lot in my career in addiction prevention and things of that nature. But the court system, as you know, it's become the de facto default treatment for addiction and mental health in our
It's like
country.
therapeutic jurisprudence.
It is. It is. I can't tell you how many times I have spoken with a parent who's gotten a warning against their son. I'm going to be the bad guy. They know that. I mean, that's good. I can do that. They can love their son and try to get him in treatment, and say, this guy, that guy, he's going to, you may go to jail if you don't stay in treatment, and that kind of that consequence is significant, because when we get addiction in the system, it's not someone who's just maybe not showing up for work and doing a good job and maybe it's starting to affect their family. It's people that it's a rational decision to sell your daughter for sex, for drugs, or to break into a house because that they got something I can get in there to get drugs. And so then they come into our system, and that level of addiction is more important than shelter, family, God, faith, anything else. And so the only thing that sometimes that you're at that point that is enough in their life that they will seek treatment or adhere to drug court, those kind of things, is that threat of jail. And you and I know that before prison reform and now, there's nobody in prison on a first-time drug offense or low-level first-time property offense. I know that the people think that they're in prison for that, but they're not. Our prisons are right now at 78% violent, rape, robberies, and murders. And
what's our occupancy rate?
We're the percentage I'm not sure, because you
Close
see
counts on this show.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I know that there are about there's 23,000 people in behind the wall there, with 7-8% violent. The remainders, the SAP program, or the Substance Abuse Program, is the largest treatment program in the state and very effective. And a lot of times the court, after you've kind of washed through everything else there is, you go to the SAP program for that 690, whatever that period is. So a lot of that remainder above that 7-8% are SAP, and they're rolling in and out through that program and coming in and out. So a lot of times when you see the high incarceration rates, Alabama leads the nation, and you wonder, God, are people just worse here? What's going on? A lot of times they include municipal incarceration, which has nothing to do with what we in state court or the prison system. and or they have new intakes, that kind of thing. I mean, if you look at circuit court charges, people going to prison, those numbers, they're it's apples and oranges. But we are overcrowded. The prisons are in terrible condition. Granted, I don't dispute that. But we have had a system where we've built it on the backs and funded, as you said earlier, on the folks that commit the offenses. But one of the serious unintended, I was talking about consequences. We created a D felony in that. Instead of just raising.
So let me explain. We have A, B, C felonies up until recently, and we created a D felony, which is driven by the range of punishment, which for a D is 1 year and a day to 5 years.
That's right. That's right.
That's a new thing. But go ahead.
That's right.
We created a D felony.
That's right. And A felony is like it's rape, robbery, murder. That's 10 to life. That's the real bad ones. B's are mid-level, breaking into your home. Somebody's there, but no one's hurt, kind of thing. C's were your check forgeries, things of that nature. And then you had A misdemeanors, B and C misdemeanors. This new D incorporated possession of drugs like heroin, cocaine, meth, possession and theft of a credit card, and that kind of thing. Typical offenses that a lot of times folks with addiction problems have. Well, if you commit one of those D felonies in Alabama and you have no aggravators like priors or whatever, prior offenses, the judge has no discretion. He cannot send you to jail. He can't say you're going to be locked up, or she can't say you're going to be locked up. And so we lose that, carrot and a stick. We do things in life because we're motivated to be successful, to help our families, our friends, that kind of thing. When you're addicted, you're motivated by getting the next drug.
Yeah.
And so that's your carrot. The stick is, you're going to go to this treatment program, or there's this threat of incarceration, which very well may never come, but it's kind of ever present. To help those, I don't want to send that person to prison. I don't want to send somebody possessing heroin to prison. Not at all. I want them to live and recover and be healthy again. And that's why, that's a lot of what we've become as prosecutors.
Yeah.
And so it is impeding our ability to do that. And hopefully there's a bill in the legislature to fix that. Hopefully it'll make it through this time, and we'll see. We'll see.
It's a very complicated situation with lots of moving parts. This has been Our Issues Birmingham. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week.